Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
You not only star in this film, you're a producer as well. It's based on a 2016 magazine article. I'm just wondering, your first contact with that, did it immediately read as something that not just sparked your interest intellectually, but, hey, I see something cinematic here?
The
magazine article.
Yeah, I read it and I was like, this is such a great, interesting story. We'd never seen, a corporate defense attorney takes on a plaintiff case that his grandmother sort of brought to him, and he has to fight within the corporate defense culture to protect an individual fighting a corporation. And that was just really a remarkable, interesting story to me. And he was such a modest, there's nothing outwardly heroic about the guy. He's just a really normal guy, goes to church, has a family, And I just thought this is a really interesting story. But my agent reached out and said, hey, would you be interested in getting the rights to this? And I was like, absolutely, because I also saw it as a horror flick too. I saw there was a genre element to it as well, and that became, then participant and I realized we were bidding against each other, but we'd been working to get,
decided to team up.
Yeah, so I was like, hey, why don't they called up and they want to team up on this, and I was like, sure.
In your conversations with Robert Billett, whom you play, I mean, what was it that most informed, I guess, the movie overall? Was it something about him personally, as you said? There's a tremendous amount of technical and legal jargon and details that you have to get into as well.
He was just a fascinating character because he's so modest. He was the antithesis of the strident lawyer who's going to go in and fight, and he was just more modest and quiet and soft-spoken and interior. And I thought, and like sweet, there's a sweetness in him, and I thought, wow, that's going to be really hard. As an actor, you want to go for those big dramatic speeches and stick it to him, but that wasn't his style. And so it was like Todd and I was always like, how are we gonna? Let's just be as honest as we can with him. He's fascinating to us, and hope that he's fascinating to other people as well.
What made Todd Haynes the right director for this project?
I just, his characters. I knew that we had the structure of this kind of genre, like in our first draft. What I felt like was missing was like this interior journey, and I wanted Todd because, one, he does these inner life, these quiet struggles that are happening beneath the surface of alienation and someone struggling against a system, and I just thought, wouldn't it be great to take that sensibility and bend the genre with it? And we haven't seen Todd do anything that had a story quite like something that was so story driven in a way, but like with a character that is very similar in a lot of ways to a lot of his characters. And I was talking to my manager, Scott Wexler, and he's like, what about Todd Haynes? And I was like, hey man, that's a really, really cool, interesting idea. And here we are.
Is your expectation or hope for a movie like this, is it different? Or I guess, what is your hope? Is it something commercial, or is it really maybe a sense of awakening and perspective that ultimately the movie can provide for audiences and kind of have a ripple effect?
It's both. I mean, it would have to be a commercial success to have that kind of impact, I think. But really, it's about the people who. I mean, there's 7 states in the United States that are dealing with this on a massive level. Firefighters are dropping off like flies because of the cancers that are connected to this, and the use of PFOA and firefighting foam in firefighters' clothing. The military has these explosions of cancer from these chemicals. It's the noble people of America that are suffering because of this. And what's important to me is that there's justice for them. That this information gets out in the world, since all of us have it in our body, and that we have a discussion about the system that brought us this.